Hey guys, it's me again. Today I am showing a video of how I actually decluttered the classroom. So not tidying, but actually decluttering. So going through and deciding what we were going to keep and what we weren't going to keep. I mentioned it in my last video, but I do think tidying and decluttering are different, where tidying is putting things away and decluttering is really, donating and getting rid of stuff that we don't use or don't need anymore. So in this video, I'm going to go through that. I'm going to talk a little bit about my process and how I decide what I'm going to keep and what I'm not going to keep. This room is mainly used by the kids, so I was more looking at what they use and what they don't. I do feel like sometimes it's hard to declutter with kids because once you say you're going to declutter or you're going to donate or anything like that, they suddenly want whatever it is that you were going to get rid of really, really bad. And it doesn't matter that they haven't touched it in like 6 months or a year. So the way I approach this is ever since my kids were little, anytime before Christmas or anytime before their birthday, we always go through everything and we always donate. I say we need to so that we have room for more toys and because it's good to give. So my kids they're kind of like, I guess, used to donating. They still get attached to some things, and if they're really attached, of course I won't, give it away or anything like that. But sometimes, I do ask them if they really want it. I ask them like, when was the last time they used it, just so that they can think about it a little bit and kind of decide. They're not in the video with me. I don't ever show my kids on social media, and that's just a choice my husband and I made. Yeah, I kind of talk to them a little bit off screen, I guess, or, like I'm not gonna keep markers that don't work. So some things were just common sense. But yeah, let's jump right into it. And if you have any questions or comments, ask me down below or email me, whatever. And as always, please like and subscribe. Thank you. Alright, so here we go. We are starting in the closet where a lot of things just tend to get dropped when they don't have a place yet. So right now I'm just trying to empty it all out. I think a thing that always has to happen with decluttering is you always have to take everything out before you actually start to get rid of things. I think this is good just so that you can kind of have an overview of everything that you have. And so I always tell people when you're decluttering and are organizing, things always get worse before they get better. Here in this drawer, I keep a lot of stuff for myself that I use with the kids that I may not want them to use themselves. So it's a lot of glitter and sequins and stuff like that, and then just other things like crafts where I kind of want to save it, like the filters are going to be used to make snowflakes at Christmas, so I don't necessarily want the girls kind of using them for something random. And before I filmed this, I did go and pick up some new paint. We were kind of low on acrylic paint, so I found a bunch at Michael's, and I was actually lucky and I found some on discount too. So there I am, just pulling it all out. I do spend a decent amount of time kind of organizing it by color later on in the video. I also spend a lot of time doing what I just did, where I just kind of look at everything and try to decide what to do with it. There, I'm doing it again. Essentially, I did try to fit all of the paint kind of in that drawer at first, but as soon as I put them in, I realized it wasn't all going to fit. So here I am moving it into a container. And I actually do this another time because I wanted to do it by color and it all didn't fit in there, and I ended up finding some more paint later on. So yeah, spent a lot of time doing this. The reason why I like to organize things by color, especially in the kids' room, is because it makes things a lot easier to find. I don't like wasting my time going through things to find a certain thing, especially like when I know its color. So this goes not only for paint but for clothes. I think it's better if I just spend the time to organize it and so everything has a place than looking for it later on. There's the extra paint I found, and there's more in that bucket too. So this bucket, everything in it was actually used for a project that I had with work, but I ended up not using all this stuff. So that's a bunch of rope that I actually used tie-dye on to dye, which I hope one day when my girls are a little bit older, probably pretty soon here, we can do some macrame art. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Okay, so yeah, those are a bunch of kiwi boxes. I kind of opened that drawer and then closed it because I don't know, like sometimes I kind of just like get overwhelmed. I mentioned this already in this video, but yeah, like organizing and decluttering, it can get like really, I don't know, it can get really overwhelming, and sometimes I don't know where to put things and I just have to like stop and think. But essentially, we have a bunch of kiwi boxes because a friend of mine kindly gifted us a bunch for 1 year, a whole year subscription. But then he forgot to cancel the subscription, so we have another year of kiwi boxes, which is great, but we did get a few duplicates, and we've actually stopped getting duplicates now, which is good. But my girls, they kind of go through phases where they'll want to do a bunch of them at once, and then after that they'll kind of stop for maybe like a month or two, and then they'll want to go back and do a bunch more. But they're amazing and everything, but it definitely is like an adult supervised thing. And then here, this is a bunch of stuff that I actually used when I taught my kids while they were in preschool, because it was over COVID. So I just have a bunch of things like name tags, clocks, maps, like counting cubes and magnets and science things, and just whatever I could kind of get my hands on. I kind of either used Amazon or I went to Scholar's Choice, which is a thing here in Calgary. I don't really teach my kids very much anymore. I kind of like leave that up to school now. I guess I should say I don't like teach them formally. I was never interested in doing something like homeschool or anything. So as soon as things opened up, we did send them to preschool and to school, and yeah, we're completely happy with it. But I do have all these resources. Not all of them I got either. These big ones are from Costco that my father-in-law always gives us as gifts. So we have a bunch of those, some of them that aren't even used. In this pile of stuff, there was also some schoolwork that the girls had done. So sometimes I keep things, sometimes I don't. Kind of really depends on what it is. So if it's just a random drawing, I just try to recycle it. But if it has their handprint or footprint, or it's something really sweet, I will try to keep it. And I have a little filing system in the basement where I keep all of their school stuff. With every kids area, I feel like there's always like random little pieces of things everywhere. So that is my box of random things I found or am finding as I go through everything. Oh, looking tired again and overwhelmed, and yeah, I can't say this was exactly fun, but it's really satisfying at the end of it, which is why I think I do actually enjoy doing these things. So those trays, you just saw me clean one. We use those for crafts. We've actually had those for a really long time. I think since my eldest daughter was about 1, and so they know that any painting or clay or Play-Doh, stuff like that, that's gonna get played with, it gets played with on those trays, just to kind of contain the mess. And then this box here is actually my Christmas box. So anything to do with crafts that the kids will do at Christmas. And then the other boxes that you'll see me grab eventually, that's more teaching stuff. Gosh, I have like so much stuff. In the other boxes, they're kind of organized by season. So anytime there's a new season, we kind of like decorate this room that I'm in. Again, it's a classroom, and we do like little themed crafts together. So I'm just kind of taking away things that we actually haven't ever used. I had some things in there that I would have used for sensory bins when the girls were a lot smaller. They're too big now for sensory bins. Oh, and then this box annoyed me because I feel like somebody just put things in there that they didn't want on my desk, and by somebody, I mean my husband, because he is using my desk right now that I use in this room. I used it while I would be doing something else, while the girls would be doing a craft or something like that. But yeah, we have a friend staying with us, so she's staying in our guest room / his office, and so he is now using this desk up in the classroom. This table I actually really want to sell, but my kids just still use it sometimes, but they're actually way too big for it. Like their knees hit the bottom and stuff when they sit there, so they kind of have to sit on the floor. They don't really use the bins anymore. It's more like home teaching things that I had. I obviously haven't gone through this stuff in a really long time. It really bothers me when we have like an activity book that's half used and there's still a lot of pages that they haven't done yet. So I had been keeping them and trying to get them to go back to it, but they've just like lost interest in it. And so it's going into recycling. And so as I'm talking through this, like a lot of this is the process that I go through when I'm decluttering. And so it's really just deciding what I'm going to keep, what I'm going to sell, and what I'm going to recycle or throw away. I try not to throw away things as much as possible, and my rule is kind of like, if I know somebody that I think could use the items, I will give it to them first before selling. And that's kind of like a overall high level process of how I go through things. So along with the books that I found everywhere, there's more in there. I don't really think I went through those because it's just so much. But yeah, I did take out a few things. So that's all of their Play-Doh stuff. And to be honest, we do not really play with Play-Doh. We are not a Play-Doh house. Not only does the stuff like drive me nuts, the girls have never actually been that interested in it. They'll maybe play for it for like a day, maybe like an hour, one day, and then they get tired of it, and then they leave things open and it dries and it gets all crumbly and everything. So I gave these away. I donated everything. I did clean everything beforehand, which is what I was doing there, just to make sure there was no dry pieces on it. And then I threw out all of our jars of Play-Doh, which were all dried up anyways. Also, these little colored bins that you're seeing me have around, those are all from IKEA, but I painted them and then I used Mod Podge over top just to keep them all nice and sealed. And I did that years ago and they're holding up really well. So yeah, acrylic paint and Mod Podge on pine IKEA boxes is a great thing. There I am, just being overwhelmed again. And so I think like when you're decluttering, you just have to like keep on pushing yourself to keep on going too. I've done it before where I've like started decluttering and then I leave and then it just stays a huge mess for a super long time because I never really want to go back to doing it. It's kind of like cleaning. In this drawer, originally I wanted it to be a Lego table, but I don't know, it just didn't really work out that way. Also, this table, it's also from IKEA, and although it's really great, kind of what seems to happen with it is that things like pile up along the edge when the drawer is closed, and then as soon as you open it, everything falls in, which is really annoying. So I'm picking out all these little pieces there. It's like stickers and beads and Lego, things kids usually play with. But in general, we use this drawer to keep all of their craft items that they can use whenever they want. So I have the one drawer in the closet where I keep all like the parent supervised stuff, and then this one drawer here where there's all their craft stuff. I try to keep everything organized for my kids because I have this dream where one day they will also really like to have things organized and they'll do it on their own. It's kind of seemed to work on my eldest one. She's a pretty organized person and definitely likes things a certain way, but My youngest one is a little bit of a wild child and is completely fine with everything everywhere in no specific order. So hopefully one day she will also jump on this train of just having everything nice and tidy and everything having a place, but we'll see. So those are all their beads. I mean, I love that my kids like to make bracelets and stuff like that, but I hate all the beads. So that big kind of clear bin down there, that's stuff that I'm either going to donate or sell. So I'm putting it all in one place so I can go through it later. And then I have various garbage bags all over the place because I just use spare bags that I find. And then the big blue recycling bin. So yeah, having everything out just makes it easier to get things where they need to be. So I'm doing a super quick clean in here, which is why I'm just using like disinfectant wipes. Actually, that shelf in the classroom too, I do also want to sell. So they're not sold yet. It's on my list of things to do, but I don't know. This is definitely a lesson. Like, we let so much stuff pile up in our house, I think basically over COVID, that our house just feels like so cluttered and it's very annoying. So once the stuff gets out, definitely do not want it back. And I haven't even got to the basement yet, which is where my kids like have most of their toys, and I'm just really not looking forward to that. We'll get there one day, but I'm definitely putting it off. So here I am back at the paints, like I knew I would be. So yeah, organizing things by color, making it all nice so we can find it when we want to. Sometimes I wish I could just let my kids kind of like go free and do whatever, and I'm sure it really would be good for them. But I think for like developing good habits and for my own sanity, I do like to definitely supervise painting and make sure that things go back where they're supposed to, because I also use these paints. It's just acrylic paint from Michael's. So I use a lot of them for like my own DIYs, but I don't know if there's any parents out there watching this. Like, what do you think? Do you think it's better to try to like create a really nice and organized space for your kids, or do you think it's better to just let them run wild and see what they can create and see what they can do? I will say I don't try to dictate what they're gonna make, but I definitely try to dictate like how many bottles of paint they take out at once, and you know, how many colors they squeeze out at once and all that kind of thing, which probably does like limit their creativity in some shape or form. This bottom drawer ended up becoming the paint drawer. So there's tie-dye in that bucket there, and then a bunch of paint, and then I ended up putting in like all the paint trays, the brushes, just towels and etc. Here's the Lego. I organized this in my other video, tidying the classroom, and of course I found more Lego pieces everywhere, so just kind of sliding those in. And all this is from IKEA. These are the Billy bookcases, and these like little Lego cases from IKEA, they just fit right perfectly in there, which I think is cool. Ooh, some more things that I'm gonna organize by color. So I don't know what you guys think about Montessori toys. I guess that's another like parenting thing I can ask, but these were little like Montessori wood toys that I got from, I think, AliExpress actually, and it helped my kids with colors. So we used to kind of like lay these out and then arrange them from like darkest to lightest and like learning the colors of the rainbow. And they also actually use these when they're playing with their wood toys. So this, and I think like that wooden rainbow thing that was really popular a few years ago, are really the only Montessori toys that we still have. I can't say I had a ton. I don't think there's one right or wrong way to teach your kids. It's just what they're interested in and etc. But yeah, they use these with their wooden toys now. Along with the rainbow Montessori stuff, I also made them. Like I just went to Michael's and they had these like little wooden figurines and a bunch of like wooden shapes and stuff like that. I just picked up a bunch of those, painted a few of them so they could match colors and etc. And I just let them go wild with those. And so they still play with those. It's really cute. And anything wooden, they kind of just add to it. I can't believe how long this video is. I haven't really, I edited it and then it's been a few weeks since I've seen it. And now I'm finally getting to the voiceover and yeah, it's kind of crazy how long it is. But if you've watched this far, like, thanks. Yeah. All it's reminding me though is like how long it took to actually declutter this room. I think it took like 3 hours. So it looks like I'm almost done. I'm not, because there's still kind of like one big task that I gotta do. But it's looking a lot better. It always feels so good when you declutter, just getting all that stuff out. I feel like I'm always bending over, picking things up off the floor. Especially since having kids, but whatever. Alright, so this is something else that I basically color code, and we always kind of try to put them in the order of the rainbow. So there were a few things that I found like here and there in that bucket. So that bucket is all a bunch of pens and pencils and markers, blah, 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 that I found. And I go ahead and either put the pencil crayons where they're supposed to be in one of those blue bins, or test them out like I'm doing right now. So when I originally made the system of the blue bins, I didn't have, my kids didn't have markers yet. They do now, and people buy them as gifts. So I just keep the markers in that plastic bin. It's also what my kids tend to reach for the most. So just having them out for them, it doesn't really bother me. I mean, I do wish they would have their own place in a separate blue bin, but having kids has made me not so OCD and kind of like let things go. As much as it doesn't seem like it, because I still obviously like really stress about having things nice and organized, it's not as bad as it used to be. So there you go. Just noticed that thing I just touched. That's a sock that my sister actually knitted for my girls. There is a pink one that goes with it. I don't know what that sock is doing in there. I actually keep those things as memories, so I don't know how that sock got in there, but that's another thing with kids I find, is like you find socks everywhere. At least I do. So I feel like this part goes on forever. Do you guys do this? Do you guys like test your pens and markers and make sure they all work, and then the ones that don't, do you throw them out? I feel like this is something I've done since like I was a little kid, because it's always driven me crazy when you grab a pen and it doesn't work. It's probably one of my pet peeves. I'm also super picky with pens. I don't know if one day I'll show my pen collection, but I recently showed my friend that's living here some of my pens, and they weren't even pens. They were like these little markers. It's Le Pen, if anybody else is a pen fanatic here, and she was absolutely shocked at the price, which I didn't think that was that bad. Having a good pen is worth the money. So here's more things. These are more things that I use to teach my kids over COVID. And so it's just, a bunch of flashcards, different topics, and we would always go over one during the day, and then I'd switch them out the night before, the next day, and yeah, kind of just taught them little things here and there. And so the landing right now between all of our bedrooms, it's honestly just being used as like a spot for recycling trash and things that need to go into donation. It's a mess out of there, you saw a bit. So I wasn't gonna put anything up there, but then my eldest daughter came in and kind of said like, oh, like there's nothing out there anymore. And she kind of wanted some art to be placed there. So originally I was gonna sell like these 3 paintings that you're gonna see me put up there in a bit. But because she said that, I just decided to keep them out. So here is an example of me getting ready to sell some stuff. So all these things are things that I used to teach the girls and that we no longer use. So I like to lay everything out like really nice and neat, and then I put it up for sale. I use Facebook Marketplace. And yeah, I just like, lay it all out, take some photos and then post them. I think I sold this for like $20 or something like that, maybe 25. I can't even remember anymore. And yeah, finally done.